we'll go over the Brooklyn Nets versus the Milwaukee Bucks. So this series currently is 2-0 in favor of Brooklyn. They've looked stellar in their first two home games. And Milwaukee has their backs up against the wall right now in game 3, so they definitely got something to prove. So, Kevin, I'll ask you straight up, who do you have winning game 3 between the Brooklyn Nets and the Milwaukee Bucks?
So Kyle and I actually talked about this prior to starting. It actually makes me laugh because I've picked Milwaukee to win both games, and I cannot even begin to understand what the hell is going on in Milwaukee, other than the Bucks are just being outplayed in almost every aspect. I mean, the Nets, even without James Harden from the very first minute of game 1, have looked legitimately unguardable in almost every facet of the word. And the Bucks don't have an answer. I was watching a video. I can't remember if it was on Twitter or if it was on TikTok. It was a guy kind of voicing over some highlights of the series. And you saw that the Nets were doing what a lot of NBA teams do in regards to guarding Giannis, and that's giving him a lot of space and kind of stacking the paint and letting others beat him or beat them. But Giannis was taking mid-range jump shots. Giannis is doing terrible from the free throw line. Giannis isn't hitting shots from beyond the arc when left open. And I think it falls down to, ironically enough, the comments that James Harden made a couple of years back when he was regarded to saying, it must be nice to be 7 feet and just run down the court and dunk. That takes no skill. And I know that jarred a lot of different opinions and that ruffled a couple of feathers, mine included at the time, because I felt like he was just upset that Giannis was dominating the league as much as he was. But I feel like James' comments now have a little bit more fact behind it, because as you see, Giannis is kind of being exposed. Giannis does not seem like the type of player to go out and lead a team to victory. He did mow over the Miami Heat in the first round, and he looked absolutely incredible. But if we're being honest, now we're looking back at Brooklyn being up 2-0 in an embarrassing fashion. And then that makes you think, wow, like, is Miami that bad? Like, if Milwaukee destroyed Miami in almost every game, and now the Nets are dominating Milwaukee, you're like, well, damn, like Miami must have been just atrocious. No disrespect to them, but that's just kind of how it's looking. So to get back to my prediction, I've picked the Bucks 2 times in a row. I'm not going to do a third time as the charm. It just seems like the Nets are outplaying them in every facet of the sport. And I think Blake Griffin hoodwinked, bamboozled Detroit, because this man is playing absolute phenomenal basketball. I mean, the man is out here dunking on different people on a regular basis, obviously not to the electrifying quality or quantity of his LA Clipper days, but the man is still getting up there, getting and-ones, creating contact, and just being a pest offensively. And the Bucks don't seem to have an answer. So I'm going to confidently pick the Nets to win game 3 and take a overwhelming lead in the Milwaukee series, or should I say just in this series. Kyrie and KD have been playing at an exceptional clip, and the supporting cast is playing well around them as also. So I got the Nets winning by maybe about 5-6 points. I think the Bucks play better. They are at home. They do have a little bit more of an advantage, so to speak. But I just think Brooklyn offensively is just too dominant. And unless Giannis is going to be able to hit more efficiently from the field and the free throw line, I don't think this is going to be possible.
I'm going to go with the Nets here. And I'm really conflicted about this one, simply because the Bucks have to do better than what they did in game 2. They lost by damn near 40 points. And everybody on the roster had a bad game. The Nets just looked absolutely amazing in that game 2 matchup. Kevin Durant was sensational. Kyrie Irving did his thing. They were able to get some good production from Bruce Brown Jr., Joe Harris. Even Mike James stepped up and chipped in for 10 points. Just everything was going for Brooklyn in game 2. And while I think that Milwaukee is going to come out guns blazing in game 3, I just don't think they're going to be able to match the offensive output that Brooklyn's going to put on them. Just because no team has shown me up until right now that this team can be outscored with the players that they have on the roster. This is even without James Harden. Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving have done more than enough to get this team into the position that they are, and they are going above and beyond expectations that I currently had for this series. Because I thought the Bucks were going to be able to split one in Brooklyn, and that did not happen. They got absolutely washed in game 2. So the way that I look at it, I think the Bucks are going to be a lot more competitive in this game. But I'm going to be honest with you. I still think Brooklyn wins this by 10 points. Just because they got to stop KD, or KD's got to have an off night. And I have yet to see that. I just think that KD is in one of those zones right now where nobody can touch him. You could, unless you double him, and he's got to kick it out to somebody in one of the role players, and maybe Bruce Brown Jr. or Joe Harris or like Mike James or Landry Shamet. I don't think it's going to happen for Milwaukee here. I really think that Brooklyn's going to go up 3-0 in this series. And to be quite honest with you, at that point, the series is over. If you're up 3-0 and the Nets have been playing the way that they're playing, I don't think that Milwaukee's going to have a real shot in this series. And unless Giannis and Chris Middleton step up, because Chris Middleton has been absolutely abysmal in this series. He's averaging like 14 and a half, like 15 points a game. It's just not going to get it done. Giannis has played okay. He had a great first game in the series, but had a bad one in game 2. To be honest, everybody had a bad game for the Bucks in game 2. It's just, I got to see it to believe it, that somebody's going to beat the Nets. And I just don't think that the Bucks defense, who I thought was actually going to play very well against Brooklyn, is going to be enough to stop KD and Kyrie. And then Blake on top of it, I just don't see it. Yeah, Nets win this one by 10. I think it's like 110 or like 100. I just don't think that the Bucks are going to be able to score enough.